What's up, guys? This is Kephas, and we are back in WoW doing some more leveling, and I found the last Explorers League document. It was down here. I was checking last episode, I was checking over here, and it was bothering me because I thought for sure it was around a cave, but it's this cave over here, kind of out of the way, so I completely missed it. But now we've got it, so let's go up here. You kind of go up this path here, and oh, there it is, right there, and yep. Ah! Jesus! Didn't expect a giant friggin' spider in there. Wait a minute. Whoa. Dude, that is a big friggin' hairy spider. I apologize for screaming. I didn't expect that. I didn't expect there to be anything in this cave. You know what we're going to do? We're going to tame a rare spider. I mean, I probably get a lot of experience from it, but why not be cool and be like, tame this thing? Oh, my Lord Jesus, that is gross. Okay, but we got it. Look at that. Look at that. We got Spider. Spider-Man. Spidey. Yeah. Well, you know what? That was worth it. So we've got... Ooh, he's gross looking. He's so fuzzy. Alright, guys. So you got to help me come up with a name for the spider now. So in the comments below, let me know what you guys think we should name that spider. So we've got the 3 of 6. That gives us all 6 documents. So now we can summon the Eternal Dragon and grant our wish. But in the meantime... we're going to go up here and do the next part of the quest. Alright, so we've got this young, believe it or not, this is like a younger gnome. About the same size as regular gnomes, but whatever. And he's a little depressed, so we're going to try to help him out. So he's mad because, finally in this zone, it's a weird zone in terms of story. In some ways, you don't really do much. There isn't a lot of bad things happening. But at the same time, you kind of get your first introduction to Twilight's Hammer. I believe Twilight cultists are up here, and they're partially responsible for all the crap that's happened. I mean, I think Deathwing is the main thing, but at the same time, see, this is what's kind of confusing. So, I think one of the biggest misconceptions that a lot of people have about Cataclysm, including myself, is that Deathwing is the cause for all of the changes in the world, but that doesn't seem to be the case. It looks like a big part of what's happened, at least here, involves the Twilight cultists that came here, and they're kind of running around doing their cult-like things. And so right over here, there we go. We've got this guy up here. So they've got this land shaper, and I tried to do some research on this because if you remember a few weeks ago, I did an episode about, so there's tons of cultists you gotta kill, so it's kind of fun. But I did an episode about, you know, Lochmodan, the story and everything, and I got to this point, I did this, and afterwards, when I was writing the script for it, I was trying to look into information I could find about the land shapers, because they have this land shaper, and you know, what exactly do they do? What were they planning to do with it? Do they have other ones, that kind of stuff? There really isn't a lot of information about it because it's only seen, I guess, on this quest. So I don't know too much. I just assume that because they also have these ogre necromancers that can kind of pull metals out of the ground and stuff like that. So I don't know, but they have a lot of little tricks they do to kind of make the world look like this. And I assume this has something to do with how this area looks. So I don't know if it's something that a lot of cultist camps have or not, but it's just a little weird. Also, we are... oh, okay, the land shapers. Alright, so what you gotta do is you kind of gotta sneak in and just start wailing on it. And you just destroy it like any other enemy. Bam. There we go. The land shaper is destroyed, and now we can go ahead and turn that quest in. So, kind of a neat little quest. It's a little bit... you know, that's all you really do, though. So, like, with these cultists, there's a little bit more to the east that will deal with the ogres, but it's kind of like... out of nowhere, they just kind of threw this in, and it was a little bit, it's a little bit weird. But you deal with so many different things in Lochmodan. There really isn't much of an overarching story, but it kind of serves to kind of do some world building, to kind of, almost like a sneak peek at so many different races and you know, breeds of creatures and just different things like that. Now you got this Twilight's cultist, Twilight's Hammer. So you're like, what the heck is this about? You know, it creates a lot of questions, which isn't really a bad thing, but it's just a little bit weird. It's almost like, you know, there's like I forget what show. Oh, Avatar: The Last Airbender. This is kind of just random, but like I had a discussion with my fiance a few days ago when we were talking about, because she likes shows like Criminal Minds, Grey's Anatomy, that kind of stuff. I like shows like Game of Thrones, and she kind of likes Game of Thrones as well. And we were talking about shows that have episodic adventures, that are kind of episodic focused, versus shows that are more, I guess, serialized, or they kind of have like a big overarching plot, and every episode kind of slowly advances the story. And we were talking about, which do you prefer? And, I like to say I like an overarching plot. Honestly, I really do. But one thing that I've come to realize is that an overarching plot, oftentimes, like if that's the main focus, it often leads to fairly boring episodes. Whereas other shows like, Criminal Minds, for example, which I've come around a little bit, it's actually fairly interesting, and there are some pretty decent episodes. Or if you want to think of a show that maybe you can remember if you don't like shows like that, Batman the Animated Series also kind of had more of an episodic feel to it, and there were some really, really great episodes. But it kind of falls flat in the long term because it's not really building to anything. So I was watching this YouTube video of kind of doing it was actually a synopsis on why The Legend of Korra wasn't very good, which I personally, I initially was into it, and then after it was all said and done, when I looked back over it, I was like, actually, I really didn't enjoy that. It's kind of like my feelings about The Walking Dead. Like, I for the longest time, I was like, I love this show, and then I realized I actually kind of hate this show, and I've always hated this show because I was liking it based on what I was hoping it would do, and based on the concept, and not so much on what I was actually watching. And now I admittedly, I hate The Walking Dead. So, which is honestly partially because it's serialized and it focuses on one long, drawn-out plot versus, small little plots that kind of... So anyways, in their video about The Last Airbender, they were saying that the reason why The Last Airbender was so good, I never thought about it this way, but I feel like it's very true, is because it was a good combination of both episodic storytelling and serialized, overarching, long-term plot development storytelling. So, in The Last Airbender, you had... It's pretty easy. It was a pretty simple story. Nothing too deep about it. I mean, but there were deep elements. There were, story threads. There were, characters that evolved. And each individual episode worked towards telling that overall story. And every now and then you could have an episode that kind of focuses more on that main story. Look at that, we're at level 40. That's awesome. So we've gained 20 levels since we started. Also, we can get faster writing. That's cool. We'll go get that after this. But, overall, The Last Airbender worked out really well. The original Last Airbender, not Legend of Korra. Because it had episodic storytelling. And each episode told its own story. It had a problem, it had a conclusion, it had, whatever. But that all went into serving the overall plot. And, some episodes fell flat, but most episodes were interesting on their own. You could watch an episode and at least understand what that episode was doing. I think my favorite episode in The Walking Dead, and it was like a golden nugget in a pile of shite, in my opinion, was the Look at the Flowers episode. That one kind of resonated with a lot of people. The reason why I personally liked it wasn't because, oh, wow, you saw a kid get shot. No. It was because it actually told a story in itself. It was, there was some stuff that hinted towards it before that, but you really didn't need to see that. You had a crazy girl, spoiler alert, you had this girl that was crazy, that had, that was not fit to live in society, and you had a person make an impossible decision. And, and it told that story in that episode. You did not really need to see anything else. And it was well done. And if every episode of The Walking Dead was like that, where every episode they dealt with something, and you didn't have to have like a shock value event happen. You had every episode was, they're dealing with different things. And in this episode, they're dealing with, this character and this character's story. And there's like some big moral thing or something that's just really like, wow, that would suck to deal with that in that world. But it's, and it overall builds towards the story versus, you know, let's just tell about 10 minutes of the story in you know, in this episode and draw it out. Like, you know, if you told a more interesting episodic story, I think it would be better. But that's what The Last Airbender did. And it made it really interesting. And the reason why I went on that long tangent, rabbit hole, is that I think Warcraft a lot of times does that too. It tells almost like episodic stories, and it's got this huge world, and it all builds towards the main plot. And every now and then, you kind of get shifted towards that main plot. And I think that, like, Loch Modan doesn't really feel much like an episodic story. Almost like Westfall was an episodic story. I had probably actually several episodes, but it, you know, it explained the situation with a lot of the humans. It explained how the world had affected that, and, you know, it showed a lot of different things and whatever. It didn't really connect too much to the overall plot of the time, which was Cataclysm. This one kind of does connect to the overall plot, because ultimately you deal with some Twilight's cultists, which are connected to Deathwing and whatever, but there really isn't much of a story here. Just that, you know, oh crap, you know, everything's here and it's crazy, blah 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 blah, it's wild. Alright, so we're gonna go back here and talk to this guy. But overall, I think that, like, what makes Loch Modan fun is the environment, the various quests that you do in such a small area. It's fun to play in. It's fun, the scenery's great. Story-wise, it's a little weak in my opinion. But overall, it's actually kind of funny that we're kind of giving it a little bit of a synopsis, even though I spent most of the time talking about Airbender and Walking Dead. But it looks like now we're riding the Skyrocket, the Sky Strider, I should say. So that's kind of a fun little device. I want a flying mount that's a Sky Strider. When do I get that, Blizzard? Ghostcrawler promised me a Sky Strider. Or Spry Sprocket, or whatever his name is, promised me a Sky Strider. I want one. But this is kind of neat here. So, this is really cool what they did here, though. Because what they do is, they have you ride this Sky Strider, and it's like, hey, look where you're going to be going next if you continue this storyline. And I think that's kind of cool. I think that it's neat. I do feel like there is a little bit of overlapping story, and maybe a lot of what happens here continues on and maybe culminates over in Wetlands. I don't know. I haven't done the story there yet, so maybe that's why. But I do like when zones kind of they bleed together. They kind of, you know, they extend on into other zones. There's a lot of Wetlands mentioned here because a lot of the crap that happened here affects Wetlands. So yeah, I mean that very well could be the case. So we will potentially find out. We gotta summon back our little new rare spider pet. Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and turn that in there. We have done the achievement for Loch Modan, but we are going to go back and turn in all of our documents and see how much experience we get from that. So we are right now level 40, and after this I promise I will get faster riding. I do sometimes wish that, because it's only like 3 or 4 times, I wish that it would automatically upgrade my riding, but I guess they want me to pay for it, so it's fine. It's whatever. We've got the gold for it. I gave my character some gold. So, man, I love playing a hunter. I like playing a melee hunter. I think it's fun. I'm really looking forward to Battle for Azeroth, because I've been messing around with survival hunters over there, and they really fix a lot. They make it a fun class that's pretty easy to play. And I'm really looking forward to actually messing around with one. So it'll be fun, because we will be in the middle of this series when those changes go live for sure. I don't know how much further along we'll make it, but when those changes come live, because this is going to be within the next month, we will be having to relearn how to play this class. So that'll be kind of fun. It'll be kind of neat going back at this video much later on when everything's different and being like, oh, this is how it used to be. Anyways, let's go ahead and turn in. Look at this. We got 6 of them to turn in, all giving us 12,000 experience each. This is partially why this zone is so awesome for leveling, is because of these. So look at that. We haven't leveled up yet. Alright, we turned them all in. So it gives you this last quest. So this is kind of like summoning the dragon. You get a reward for doing all of them, and a crap ton of experience. So I'm just going to take the one that gives me the most gold, and we did actually level up from that. So you don't get a full level, because we were probably, I didn't see what percentage we were, but we did get a pretty good chunk of experience just for doing that. So that was well worth it. We are now level 41, and we are going to be leaving Loch Modan. That does not necessarily mean that we have to go to Wetlands next. I do have a quest for Red Ridge Mountains, so I guess I will put that in the vote. But you know what we're going to do, actually? We're going to have a look at this here. So, yeah, no, we're going to do this instead. So instead of going to Red Ridge, unless you want me to go Red Ridge, I'll put Red Ridge in there just in case you want me to vote. You want to vote for it. But beyond Red Ridge Mountains, we're going to go by what the table tells us. That way I'm not putting every single zone in the game in a poll and trying to ask you guys to vote, because that's like too many. So you can choose between Eastern Plaguelands, Badlands, or Thousand Needles, and then of course Red Ridge, just because I happen to have a quest for it. So between those 4 zones we will go to next. It's up to you guys to vote, so I look forward to seeing what level or what zone you guys pick, if I can speak. Remember, that's Eastern Plaguelands, Badlands, Thousand Needles, and Red Ridge Mountains. There will be a straw poll up in the description below. Don't forget to vote. If you enjoyed this video, let me know by hitting that like button. And feel free to share it with your friends so they can enjoy it as well. You can also subscribe to the channel and follow me on Twitter at TheKephas to be notified as soon as new videos are posted. Thanks for watching, have a wonderful day, this is Kephas, until next time.